Dr. Kian Rhodes's voice cut through the polished silence of the Lumina lounge. "You're trying to remove me from my own reserved table?" His question, though calm, was a finely honed blade, designed to expose the absurdity of the situation. Kian, a distinguished black astrophysicist, carried himself with quiet confidence and intellect, a man whose mind charted galaxies but who found himself navigating the petty prejudices of a high-end restaurant. He rarely indulged in such opulent settings, preferring the quiet hum of his laboratory or the vast, open skies he studied. But tonight was a rare celebratory dinner, a moment he'd anticipated, a quiet recognition of a major scientific breakthrough. The Lumina Lounge, a high-rise, ultra-modern restaurant, gleamed in the heart of the metropolis. Its glass facade and minimalist decor screamed exclusivity, and reservations, he knew, were coveted. He had arrived early, precisely at 6:45 p.m., dressed in an impeccably tailored, understated charcoal suit, choosing grace over ostentation, acutely aware of the quiet, almost imperceptible judgments often made in such rooms. Clara, the young, brisk hostess, with a tightly pulled ponytail and a perfunctory smile, struggled to find Kian's name in the digital system. Her eyes fleetingly swept over him with a dismissive glance, a micro-expression that spoke volumes to Kian, who had seen it 1,000 times before in various forms. "Dr. Rhodes, you say?" "I'm terribly sorry, sir, but I don't seem to have a reservation under that name for this evening." Her voice was polite, almost rehearsed, but it carried an undertone of finality. Kian's initial polite smile didn't waver. "It should be there, Clara. Table 7, by the panoramic window, confirmed last week." My assistant, Liam, received a digital confirmation. He even offered to show the confirmation email on his phone, a simple solution to what appeared to be a minor error. Just then, Miss Brenda Sterling, the lounge's white manager, with her slick blonde bob and sharp, almost severe suit, approached. She had been observing the interaction from a distance, a faint air of impatience around her. Brenda offered a tight, practiced smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Is there a problem here, Clara?" As Kian politely reiterated his name and the details of his reservation, Brenda's eyes flickered. A faint, almost imperceptible shift in her expression suggested a past, minor encounter where Kian, perhaps, had not fit her ideal guest type. Months ago, Kian had briefly considered investing in a local STEM education initiative that Brenda's charity had championed, but he had ultimately declined due to conflicting commitments. Brenda, he recalled, had seemed subtly put off, a dismissive air about her that hinted at a deeper, unspoken prejudice. This fleeting recognition seemed to solidify her pre-existing bias against him, turning a minor inconvenience into an intentional slight. Brenda dismissed his reservation with a dismissive wave of her hand. "Dr. Rhodes, these systems can be unreliable. We've had a few glitches today. I'm afraid table 7 is already taken. I can, however, offer you a small table. Perhaps near the service entrance? It's quieter there." Her tone implied he should be grateful for any seating at all, a stark contrast to the elite service advertised. The implication was clear. His presence was an inconvenience, not a privilege. At that moment, the lounge's automatic doors parted again, and Mr. Desmond Hayes, a prominent black community leader known for his passionate public advocacy on diversity and inclusion, swept in. He was a familiar face on local news, often seen at charity galas and speaking events. He exuded an air of effortless entitlement, his designer suit perfectly draped. Clara immediately beamed. "Mr. Hayes, welcome. Your usual table is ready." To Kian's utter disbelief, Mr. Hayes was ushered directly towards table 7 by the panoramic window, Kian's reserved table. As he passed, Mr. Hayes glanced at Kian and Brenda, a fleeting smirk on his face, as if silently acknowledging a shared understanding of Kian's place. Kian's jaw tightened. He wouldn't raise his voice. That would only confirm Brenda's preconceived notions, but his posture stiffened, a silent declaration of his unwavering dignity. He felt the cold weight of the slight, the familiar sting of being dismissed in a space he was meant to occupy. The casual cruelty of Brenda's dismissal, amplified by Hayes's hypocritical entitlement, resonated deeply. He felt the eyes of other patrons, subtly observing the exchange, and in that moment he felt utterly isolated, no obvious allies in sight. His mind raced, calculating his options, but his pride wrestled with the desire to avoid a public scene. He simply stood, a statue of quiet defiance in the glittering, unjust space. Just as Brenda, with a triumphant smirk, gestured subtly towards a discreet security guard, signaling an imminent escort, a sleek, obsidian-black hypercar, almost silent save for a low, powerful hum, glided to a stop outside. Its futuristic design turned heads even in a city accustomed to luxury. The automatic doors of the Lumina Lounge parted, revealing Miss Evelyn Reed. A powerful white tech mogul, known for her visionary, if sometimes unconventional, approach to business, her presence was calm but commanding. She wore an impeccably tailored slate gray pantsuit which whispered global influence without needing to scream it. Her gaze, sharp and analytical, cut directly through the room's hushed conversation, finding Kian standing by the entrance, his quiet dignity palpable despite the slight. Her eyes narrowed almost imperceptibly, a silent promise of reckoning. Evelyn crossed the polished floor with purposeful strides, her heels clicking softly, each step radiating an undeniable authority. She didn't acknowledge Brenda or Clara initially, her focus fixed solely on Kian. She reached him, her hand gently touching his arm. "Kian," she said, her voice low but clear enough to carry in the sudden hush. "You've been waiting out here." It wasn't a question, but an observation laced with incredulity. Then she turned her steely gaze directly to Brenda Sterling. "Miss Sterling, I believe you're having trouble with my husband's reservation." Brenda's confident facade, which had only moments ago been so impenetrable, visibly cracked. Her eyes widened slightly, her practiced smile faltering. Your husband?" There was a mix-up with this guest, she stammered, gesturing vaguely towards Kian. She tried to salvage the situation, her voice a little higher, a little more desperate. We didn't realize who he was." Evelyn's voice dropped to a razor-sharp whisper, devoid of warmth. "My name is Evelyn Reed. I didn't just invest in the Lumina Lounge, Miss Sterling. I founded it. This place was built on a vision of actual inclusive luxury, not veiled discrimination, and Dr. Kian Rhodes," she paused, her voice rising slightly, "is not just my husband. He is a valued patron, and his reservation was confirmed." "You had no right to dismiss him or to treat any guest this way." She then turned, addressing the now silent room, her voice carrying an unexpected weight, cutting through the ambient jazz. "Furthermore, Dr. Kian Rhodes' reservation wasn't just a dinner booking. It was part of an unannounced internal equity audit of this establishment, designed to test the very principles this brand was supposedly built upon." Evelyn's words hung in the air, cold and unforgiving. She pointed towards Mr. Hayes, who now sat motionless at table 7, his face losing its color. "And Mr. Hayes, you, a public advocate for diversity, have ironically facilitated this clear act of preferential treatment, knowingly occupying a table not meant for you." Silence descended, heavy with shock and undeniable guilt. Guests froze, mid-sip or mid-sentence, Brenda Sterling's face drained of all color, her authority crumbling into dust. Desmond Hayes, at table 7, slowly put down his glass, his public persona shattered by his private actions, every eye in the room now fixed on him. The carefully curated ambiance of the Lumina Lounge turned brittle, the air thick with tension, as the true nature of its exclusivity was laid bare. Evelyn, with Kian by her side, walked purposefully towards table 7. Desmond Hayes, utterly exposed and now looking deeply uncomfortable, rose slowly and retreated from the table without a word, vanishing towards a discreet exit at the back. Kian, with his quiet dignity, took his seat, the simple act a powerful reclaiming of space. Evelyn pulled out a sleek tablet. "Miss Sterling," she stated, her voice resonating with cool authority, "our system automatically logs all reservation overrides. Over the past quarter, our audit has revealed 19 instances of system glitches that disproportionately impacted guests of color. In 15 of those cases, the tables were reassigned to last-minute arrivals who met a certain unspoken aesthetic, an aesthetic, I might add, that appears to be based on an outdated, exclusionary notion of prestige. The damning data, complete with timestamps and override logs, flashed on a large screen behind the hostess stand, irrefutable and utterly transparent, leaving no room for doubt or further excuses. As a young server named Leo, looking visibly nervous but determined, approached to offer fresh water, he subtly placed a folded napkin next to Kian. Kian opened it to find 4 words scrawled in looping handwriting. "You weren't the first." Evelyn saw it and nodded slowly, a grim determination setting in her eyes. "Then," she murmured, her gaze sweeping over the now stunned room, "it's time we made sure he's the last." Evelyn, with cold precision, dismissed Brenda Sterling on the spot. "Your services are no longer required, Miss Sterling. HR will be in touch to finalize your departure, effective immediately." The manager's exit was silent, a desperate attempt to maintain composure as she quickly moved towards the staff exit, but her posture screamed utter defeat. Within hours, an internal source, later confirmed to be Leo, the server, who had witnessed countless similar injustices and was inspired by Evelyn's unwavering stance, leaked the story and the detailed equity audit data to a prominent online news outlet. Headlines exploded across the digital sphere. Lumina Lounge rocked. Exclusive venue exposed for racial bias. Social media was set ablaze. Influencers who once lauded the lounge posting apologies for their unwitting support. Desmond Hayes, facing intense public backlash for his hypocrisy, made no public statement, his public image irrevocably tarnished, and he swiftly disappeared from public view. The incident became a hot topic on morning shows and podcasts, sparking a nationwide conversation about hidden biases in luxury services. Evelyn swiftly implemented radical changes across all her ventures, starting with the Lumina Lounge. Biometric check-in systems were installed, transparent reservation logs became standard practice, and mandatory bias training sessions led by Kian himself were introduced. A new Director of Guest Equity position was created, and Leo, the brave server, was promoted to fill it, becoming a direct line for future guest concerns and feedback. The Lumina Lounge reckoning became a stark case study in ethical leadership featured in business schools and management seminars. Other high-end establishments across the city, then the nation, faced unprecedented scrutiny and began their own internal audits, fearing public exposure. Kian's academic work, now widely discussed far beyond scientific circles, was amplified. His lectures on the physics of exclusion, navigating invisible barriers in society, gained global traction, drawing standing ovations from diverse audiences and inspiring countless students to pursue fields where they could challenge systemic inequalities. 1 week later, Kian and Evelyn returned to the Lumina Lounge. No fanfare, no media, just a quiet, deliberate confidence. Leo, now in his new role, stood proudly at the digital kiosk, his natural hair styled in a way he'd previously been told was unprofessional. He greeted them with genuine respect, a stark contrast to the coldness they'd faced before. "Dr. Rhodes, Ms. Reed, welcome back. Your table is ready." Table 7 by the panoramic window remained, but above it now hung a discreetly placed, beautifully framed, magnified printout. The original, unedited reservation confirmation for Dr. Kian Rhodes, complete with the timestamp of Brenda Sterling's attempted deletion. Kian looked at it, a faint, reflective smile on his face. "Proof," he murmured, "that sometimes history has a receipt." Evelyn clinked her glass against his, and that every receipt holds the blueprint for a new standard. As Kian and Evelyn shared their meal, the atmosphere in the lounge was subtly but irrevocably changed. The stiff, performative politeness was replaced by genuine warmth. Other patrons, many of them new faces, drawn by the lounge's renewed commitment to equity, sat comfortably, their conversations flowing freely. The Lumina Lounge now stood not just as a monument to luxury, but to equity. It was a powerful reminder that true elegance isn't in what you wear or who you know, but in the courage to challenge systems, to demand respect, and to ensure every person finds their rightful seat at the table. This was not just a dinner, it was a quiet revolution.